Alright, ARA Nation, Ammo Reloaders of America Nation is what I'm going to call you guys from now on. ARA. So today what we're going to do is we're going to reload 45 ACP. And what I'm going to start out with is the tools that you're going to need to actually reload that 45 ACP. The first thing is you're going to need a press, obviously. And today we're going to work on the single stage Lee press, and I also have a turret press, but I'll save that video later on. I'll bring that to your guys' attention, how to do that, how to use it, how to set it up, all those things. But today we're going to use a single stage press, which takes a little bit longer to load one of the rounds, but that's okay. It gets the job done. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to introduce the gunpowder that you're going to need. I'm using green dot from Alliant. You can use the other different types of powders. There's tons of them. Red dot from Alliant. What is there? Winchester, IMR. I don't know. There's all kinds of powders out there. Look it up online or ask us on the Facebook page. Anyway, so the next thing you're going to need are your tools, your dies. I use Lyman. They come with a free shell holder, and maybe most of them do. Most of the die sets, I'm not sure. Anyway, so with the 45 ACP, the Lyman set, it comes with 3 dies. The first is the sizing die and the decapping die. See here, that little pin that sticks out, protrudes, that actually decaps the primer out of the case. So it takes the primer, sorry about that. It pops the primer out so that you can load a new one. And of course it sizes the case to the factory specifications. So it shrinks it down, because when you fire it in your gun, it expands a little bit. So you need to shrink it down so that it will chamber correctly into the barrel. The next die is the expander die. This is real simple. All it really does is expands the mouth of the case so that you can seat the bullet a little bit easier. And the last one that I use is the seeding die. They have other different types of dies. They have the powder charging dies and things like that that you can add, but in this case, since we're using the single stage press, we're going to go ahead and use the seeding die. Now what's interesting about the seeding die, or at least this die set, it comes with 2 different inserts for the seeding die. The one that's in there already is for round nose bullets, and I don't think you can see inside, but that's what it is. The light doesn't get in there for you, but the other one that I'm not using is for like semi-wad cutters, things like that. And then of course you're going to need your shell holder. I'll show you how this all works. I'm just going over the tools for you real quick. Okay. The next thing that you're going to need is a priming tool. Now I use this Lee hand primer. I like it the best. I've used different types on my turret press. It's kind of funky. Sometimes it messes up. And I wish I had a primer for you. Basically, with the turret press, it automatically inserts it as you're as you're loading the rounds, and sometimes they get twisted a little bit and you crush them. It doesn't work out well. And so there's other ones. Before I introduce that, let me show you the other one for the single stage press. You've got this other one for the single stage press, and I don't like it at all, so I don't ever use it really. Anyway, I'm not going to show you how that works. I'm going to show you how this works, the hand priming tool. It's nice because you can deprime a whole bunch of rounds, cases, and then you can take all those and go prime them. You can go sit in front of the TV or whatever you happen to be doing. But anyway, so I'll show you how this works. But anyway, you load all your primers in here. They feed down into this chute here, and then as you pull this or push this in there, it pushes up the primer into the case. I'll show you how it all works in just a minute. Okay, the next thing that you're going to need is a powder measure. You don't have to use this one, but I use the Lee Perfect powder measure right here. It's very simple to set up, easy to set up. Obviously you're going to need your bullets. In this case we're using Hornady XTP .451 caliber, 45 caliber hollow points, and they weigh 200 grains. Okay, and then you're going to need a funnel. This is just for the powder. Now you can also use sizing die wax that basically you rub on the cases before you load them up into the dies here. It depends on which types of dies that you buy or that you use. I think they're like the carbide steel or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of it. But anyway, so I don't really use this. You can. So the reason for it is so that they don't get stuck in the dies as you pull them out. The next thing you're going to need is a scale. I use the digital scale. It's easier, it's faster for me, instead of one of those manual ones that you used in science class back in 1985. The next thing is the calipers. I use the digital calipers, again, easier to use, but you can use the manual one as well. That's used to measure the overall length, or this length even, which actually brings me to this point. This is my my easy case length gauge, I think is what it's called. Yeah, right here. Anyway, so this basically shows all the different popular rounds that you can reload. Here it's the 45 ACP. What it's for is just simply to measure the case, make sure it's the right length prior to loading. I use that sometimes, sometimes not, depending on if I'm in a hurry, if I care to do that or not. If they are longer, you have to have a case trimmer, which I do have. We're not going to use that today, so I'm not going to introduce it. I use a loading tray. I love the loading tray. It makes it easier, separates the rounds or the cases, whatever, and easier to keep track of everything instead of having them all over your table. And I think that's about it for introductions. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is actually go ahead and load or screw in our sizing and decapping die. So this goes all the way down, and I'm not going to show you guys exactly how to set it. That would be time consuming. I guess I'll make another video for you guys on how to actually set the depth, if you want to call it that, of the dies. Okay. Okay, the shell holder comes next. I always spin it this way. It's easier because I work from this side, and it's easier to load the case into the shell holder. Okay, so first one here, first case that we're going to work with has a primer in it. Some of these cases that we're going to work with today, I've already deprimed and sized, but anyway, so this is the first one. We're going to go ahead and deprime it. The first thing that I want to do is I want to add in this little tool. Now you don't have to add this little tool. It's basically a priming tool, and I'm not going to show you how this works, but the reason why I add this is so that the primers don't pop out the other side, out this side here. They actually pop down into this hole instead of out the other side. So this kind of blocks the primer from popping out to the wrong side. Okay, so first things first. There you go. Heard that? went ahead and sized the die, sized the case, and it deprimed it here, as you can see. One of the things that you can do is actually clean the primer pockets. I'm not going to go ahead and do that. I'll show you real quick how to go about doing it. Use this little case cleaning tool. I'm not quite sure of the name. Basically, you just put it in the primer pocket, and spin it a little bit and clean it. It cleans it out a little bit. Now, the reason that you want to do that is so that the primer can ignite the powder quicker. You don't have a bunch of junk or gunk clogging the actual the primer from going off and lighting the powder, the gunpowder. Okay, so that one's done. And what I do is let me show you this real quick. I set it on the other end here. Let me get a good picture here. Right there, and I set it upside down so I know it's deprimed, and we're ready to go with the next one. Oh, this one's already deprimed, so I don't have to do that. Lucky me. But I actually want to take that and make sure it's sized correctly, because I did that another day and I don't remember if I sized it, or I would imagine I did, because I would have used this die to take the primer out. Alright, let me go ahead and get these done, and then I'll turn the camera back on. Okay, so now the next step, there's actually 2 steps that you can do in any order. You can either prime the actual cartridge, or you can expand the mouth of the case, whichever one you want to do, you can do next. In this case, we're just going to go ahead and prime it, and then we'll go ahead and expand the mouth of the case. So let me go ahead and show you how this is done. Actually, let me do that one later. Okay. Okay, so as I squeeze this handle, it will, actually let me take the case out and show you. Oh, I guess it actually already sat a little bit. So anyway, I squeeze it, done. Okay, it popped in the primer. Brand new primer, make sure it's flush. And it is, and so that part is done. Put it towards the end of the tray. We've got another primer sitting right there. Hopefully you can see it in there. Ready for the next case. Okay. Oh, come on. Okay. Got that one. You just want to feel it and make sure it didn't seat weird or crooked, or it's not all the way in. This thing usually works good, and you can feel it when you squeeze, which takes a little bit of pressure. You can feel it seat in. You know it's good. That one's good. Alright, let me finish these and I'll turn the camera back on. Okay, something that you want to take note of. Sometimes these 45s, they come with small pistol pocket primers, I guess is what you would call them. But basically, that primer pocket is too small for these primers, so I can't use that this case with these primers. I have to go ahead and just put that to the side and get the smaller primers for that. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I didn't even realize that as I was picking out the cases to use in this tutorial. But again, just take note of that, and it's not a big deal. Just put those to the side. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to go ahead and insert the expander die. Now really all this does is it takes the mouth of the case and just expands it a little bit so that you can seat the bullet in there a little bit. And I'll show you what you want to look for once it's expanded to the right length, or excuse me, the right width. Just one second. Oh, first thing you want to do with the single stage press is you want to take out this little tool. You don't want that messing with your primers or squishing it back in further, or damaging your primers in any way. So go ahead and take that out. Go ahead and put your case in, push it all the way to the end, and put it up into the die. And now that the mouth of the case is expanded, let me show you what we're looking for here. Okay, you should be able to seat your bullet with, you know, finger tight. Just push it in a little bit, and you should be able to turn it upside down without the bullet falling out. And then you should be able to pull it right out. Now, if you don't have it expanded enough and you do that, you got to shake it a little bit. Of course, it's not falling out for me, but you can see how it's not sitting in there straight. So, whoops, there it goes. It fell out that way. Anyway, so that's what you're looking for. Let me do another couple of these and move on. So there you go. That's perfect. Sitting in there nice and straight. You can turn it upside down. It doesn't fall out. That's good. Last one, and we'll move on. Okay, it's good. Okay, so now our cases are sized, they are primed, the mouths of the cases are expanded to the right width. Next thing we need to do is add some gunpowder to them. So the things you're going to need here are your powder charger, or powder measure, excuse me, and your scale. So first thing, let me go ahead and add our green dot here. Let me change the camera angle just a second so make it a little easier for you to see. Let me pour it in. Okay. Just take off the lid. Pretty simple. And you want to pour slowly into here because this gunpowder, it jumps around a lot. So just pour a little bit in. We're not doing that much. Maybe a little bit more. That's probably good. So for what we're doing today, the charge amount, or the weight, is 5.3 grains. There's always a range. There's a minimum, which is what 5.3 is for this setup, and what we're actually loading these hollow points. So there's that range. 5.3 in our case is the minimum. I think it goes up to 6.1 or 5.9. I can't remember. But anyway, what we want to do is, because we don't care about you know, accuracy per se. We don't mind getting you know, 5.3, 5.4, or you know, 5.5, something like that. If we get somewhere in there, that's fine. We don't really want to go under 5.3, but if we go over just you know, a little bit, that's fine. It's not a big deal. Now, if you're in competition shooting, then you're going to want to get exact measurements of weight and things like that. But in our case, it's just a simple tutorial, and it's just simple home defense rounds. So go ahead and put this lid back on. The first thing that we need to do is turn on our scale. Okay. Before I get to that, this Lee powder measure here, the perfect powder measure, there's instructions on how to set up how much comes out of here. I'm not going to go into that. That's another tutorial. But just know that I've already set that up, so we should be at about 5.3 grains. So we take, actually let me change the camera position here so you guys can see better. Zoom in a little bit. Alright, hopefully that'll work for you. Okay, so we take this right here off the scale, and then we turn this, turn it back, and it throws out. Give it a couple knocks, get all the powder out. Okay, so what we do, and we put it on our scale, and you can't see right now, but it's at 5.5 grains. So we're a little bit off, not a big deal. We're using green dot, which is a thicker powder. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but it's a thicker, you know, more coarse powder. So the charge throws off a little bit. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. But in our case, this will be fine. What we need to do now is we take that and we put it back in. I do this 3 times just to make sure. We don't want to get too high or too little powder. Okay, let me see here if you can see that. And that one was 5.4. So again, just a little bit off, not bad. One more time. Hopefully you can see that. Let me do that again so you can see. Okay, 5.3 right there. Alright, so let me zoom back out a little bit for you. Put that lid back on. Zoom out. Oops, wrong way. Okay, so you can do this, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can take your funnel and put it over each case like this. Actually, let me show you both ways. Okay. So let's charge it real quick. Weigh it just to make sure again we're at the right spot. That was under for some reason. Was that like 4.9? Okay, this will work. So what we do is with the funnel, just take the powder and put it in. Just easy, simple like that. One thing that I've noticed when you get a brand new funnel, it's staticky, and so what you do is you take those I don't know what they're called, the dryer, the little lint things that you put in the dryer to get rid of static and things. Basically, you just rub that in here, in here, so the gunpowder doesn't stick to the funnel. So that's how you do that, or you can do it a different way. You could take all these and just go up to each one of them here and charge it just like that. I don't know if you can see in there, but it charged it. You probably can't see, not enough light. But anyway, charge that one, and you can just move on down the line. Let me go this way. Now obviously the ones in the middle you're not going to be able to do. You gotta move those around. Okay. So what we want to do here, just move those to the side. And as you're doing this, you want to be careful to watch which ones you charge and which ones you don't, because you don't want to double charge one of these. You'll over pressurize the case, and you'll probably end up blowing up your gun, blowing up your hand, things like that. So you need to be really careful and make sure to watch out that you don't double charge some of these. So obviously before each charge, go ahead and make sure that it has no powder in it. Okay, so we did 9 rounds in, well, it would have taken me a lot less time, but me talking to you and explaining things, you could do 9 rounds in, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, something like that. But so anyway, this is a case of 50. We're only doing 9. All right, the last and final step to making a complete round. What we're going to do now is we're going to seat the bullet here. Okay. Now I don't have this set yet exactly to the right depth, and so I guess I'll go over that a little bit in this tutorial. But that's what we're going to do now, is we're going to go ahead and seat the bullets. So, and I've actually started one. It's not the right depth just yet, but let me show you. Okay, so we put it in there. Actually, I'll do that one later. Let me show you a brand new one. Has the powder in there. Can't see it, I don't think, but anyway, so we put that in there. Okay, then we take one of our bullets. In this case, our hollow points, our Hornady. We seat it down in there like that, as straight as we possibly can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Anyway, so we go ahead and squish it in there, and it's seated a little bit, or probably about 95%, I would say. It's down. But this is where our calipers come into play. In this case, the overall length of this round, which means from the tail end here to the nose of the bullet, it needs to measure 1.180. In this case, it's 1.185. So it needs to go down just a hair. And of course, if we seat it too far, it's not a big deal. We have a bullet puller, which we can, basically what that means is we can take the bullet apart. A little bit more. It's only doing a little bit at a time. And of course, the overall length doesn't have to be exact. I like it to be exact as much as possible, but it doesn't have to be. Anyway, so this is what you do to get the right depth for your bullet. Is you just keep playing with it. Every time you push, you crank down. You go ahead and remeasure, make sure it's the right length. And of course, right now we're at 1.1. Whoop, we had 80. I don't know what happened there. 1.181. Hopefully you can see that. But in my opinion, that's close enough. So I go ahead and set that with this lock nut, and it's in there. So now I can do the rest of these, and we're set. We're all ready to go. check one more just in case. Okay, we're good to go with that. Let's go ahead and seat the bullet here. Straight as we possibly can. You can hold it as it's going up. Not a big deal. Okay, we're good. Let's measure again. All right. Next. Looks good. My press needs to be oiled. Wow. Every time I go up or down, it makes that noise, huh? So I would say probably every 10 rounds or so I go and check the length. In this case it's a little off. Not a big deal. So anyway, that's how you go about doing it. Hopefully you found this tutorial interesting and helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. You can go to our Facebook page at Ammo Reloaders of America. I think it's actually just Ammo Reloaders. Yeah, go there, ask questions. There's a lot of people there. Post a public question or comment, and everybody will help you out, answer it. The ARA Nation is very helpful and friendly there.